Alright, so let's say that you have a space and you are getting ready to change it into a classroom, and you may be wondering, oh, how do I switch this around? How do I make this space learning, loving, educating, and fun? This is going to be the video that I'm going to be talking about how to set up a childcare classroom and some things that you should consider when you're thinking about setting up your actual center in that actual classroom. Let's dive in. Alright guys, so my first tip is going to be you need to make sure that you actually figure out what is this space going to be. And then the biggest thing you want to consider is going to be what age group is going to be in this space. Okay, so if you have a center, many centers are set up where you have the infant classroom, a toddler classroom, a preschool classroom, multiple of the same age group, school age, or mixed use, right? If you're a family-based childcare provider, you may be mixed use. So the first thing you want to consider is like, what is the age group that I'm going to be servicing in this space? And the reason why you want to know that is because there is literally specific furniture, accessories, toys, and everything else under the sun that you need to operate in this classroom for that specific age group. So you don't want to be, saying, oh, I'm going to be just servicing toddlers in this classroom, and you buy shelves that's this high so that they can fall and be a tripping hazard. Right? So the first thing you want to consider is like, what is the age group that I'm going to be servicing in this class? All right. So once you get that down packed, the second thing that you want to think about as you are creating this classroom, you next want to decide, okay, what are going to be the mandatory things that I need in this classroom? And when I say mandatory, I'm going to use my toddler example as a toddler classroom age group as an example. And the first one is going to be like, we know we're going to need a diaper changing table. Standard. You also know that with that diaper changing table, you're going to need some form of a hand washing station, right? Period. You may also consider that you need steps to go up for the child to, walk up the steps if you're going to do the whole diaper changing table. Another thing you really want to consider is necessary furniture. It's going to be tables. You need tables. You need tables and you need chairs, especially in a toddler classroom. So you may consider, do I want to get the low level tables so that their feet actually hit the ground? It's age appropriate seating and chairs and tables for them. Those are going to be things that you definitely need in a toddler classroom. You also need toys, right? So what else is it that you need for them to play with? They have to play with materials, right? So you may not start out and have 6 full-fledged centers in your toddler classroom, but you may have a good solid 3, right? So what are the centers that toddler loves to play with? They love sensory. They love blocks. They love music. Many times they like kitchen, that dramatic play area. So you really, really want to think about what is going to go in this actual classroom space. You got your necessary furniture, what you need to actually get the classroom flowing. And then you have more of your optional furniture. And that's kind of like some of your toys and things like that you want to consider. Are you going to jump out the bandwagon and have crazy amount of toys in your classroom, especially if you're just starting? Absolutely not. Why? Because your bag ain't that high. But you need at least some toys and enough toys for those children in that classroom. And my golden rule is that you always want to have at least half, right? So if you got 10 children in that classroom, you at least need enough for 5 children to play with at any given time in that learning space to have more than enough learning materials and toys for the children in that setting. All right, another thing on setting up your classrooms you want to consider is carpets. Right? That makes the classroom cute and fun. It also makes the classroom, nice and warm. So you want to decide, okay, what size of a circle time carpet do I need? Do I need a smaller circle time carpet? Why? Because my classroom ain't that big. Or maybe you have a really large center and you're starting out your center with 20 children already in that classroom. So you need a really large circle time carpet because you may have 16, 17 children on carpet at one time. So you want to think about your carpets. What kind of carpets am I going to buy? Where are my carpets going to be? Am I going to have a carpet in the circle time? Am I going to have a nice funky, fuzzy carpet in the library to make it nice and soft? Do I also want to have one of those cars carpet, in the block center so that they can have that pretend and expand the pun when they're in the block center? So you want to think about your carpets, what carpet you're actually going to put in the center. Why? Because carpets ain't cheap. And carpets are expensive, especially in ECE world. They can be a little pricey. So you want to determine what carpets and how many you need in that individual classroom. All right, now we're going to talk about the common spaces. And common spaces in the classrooms are all the things that's mixed use, right? So common spaces are your tables. And so I was so confused. I remember when I was setting up classrooms, and not just setting up a classroom, because let me throw this disclaimer out there. The way that you start your classroom day one, when you open up your daycare for the first time, it is not going to look the same way by year 3, year 4, and year 5. You're going to be transforming. You're going to be investing into your business. You're going to be investing into your toys, investing into your classroom. So do not get hung up on, oh my God, I got to look all that great. Why? Because the initial goal when you're starting your business is to make some of your money back, right? So you want to make sure that you're really, really understanding common mixed spaces, and some common mixed spaces are tables. I used to think that it needed to be a table in every single learning center, like art needed its own table, dramatic play needed its own table. But many of the layouts that you kind of see nowadays is there's a common space. So there may be tables in the middle of the classroom, and children are using those tables not just for like play, but they're eating on them. They're doing art projects on them. You know, they're mixed use. They're doing tabletops on them. So they're mixed using those tables for multiple things in the functionality of the classroom. So you want to consider what are some of your common spaces going to be. Another common space is your circle time carpet. So let's say you don't have a big enough center for your manipulatives. You could always turn your manipulative station right on that circle time carpet. So it's not only just circle time, it's also a manipulative center, right? So they can use their fine motor toys as they're actually on that carpet, which is the same common mixed space that you also use for circle time. So you want to consider what are going to be some of your common spaces in that class. And last but not least, as you're in that classroom, you really, really want to make sure that you're checking out, okay, what is going to be my exits? Where are we exiting out of? Where am I going to put all my signage for the exiting space? That's definitely something that I talk about as we pass those inspections before you even get your building open. In our Childcare Startup University course, I really teach on, you know, where to position those things. So where's your teacher bulletin board going to be? Where's your emergency contacts going to be listed? You know, where are you also going to have all your fire exits and your maps and your shelter in place? Where is that stuff going to go at in the classroom? So those are things that you definitely want to consider when you're thinking about setting up your actual classroom.